What is going on, baseball fans, and welcome back to the channel. This is Orioles Today, and as always, I am Sean Ferguson. Thank you guys so much for spending a little bit of your Sunday with me here on the channel, and I wanted to give a quick shout out to my daughter, Emma. Today is her 11th birthday. Happy birthday, Emma. If you can, down in the comments, just give her a quick happy birthday. That'll make her day when she reads these. And guys, if you're a fan of today's episode, as always, please give that like button a big high five. And if you're a fan of this content, please subscribe. Get yourself daily notifications for all of these daily video drops covering all things the Baltimore Orioles. And the topic that has been out there for a while, that is starting pitching concerning your Baltimore Orioles. What are they going to do to address the need of a front-end starting pitcher? We are still waiting to see if any move will happen whatsoever. We are still waiting. We are dwindling down to the numbers of arms that will actually make a difference still out there in free agency, and it's really Framber Valdez and Zach Gallen right now. Again, Lucas Giolito is still out there, and you also still have Chris Bassett out there as well. But the top two guys, Gallen and Valdez, and we are just waiting to see. And more teams are starting to pop up now of potentially being interested besides just the Orioles, besides just the Yankees. I've talked about the Giants are still interested. You have to throw the Arizona Diamondbacks. They are in there as well. And there's always a dark horse that sometimes you never expect. Like you didn't expect the Texas Rangers to go out and make a big trade for Mackenzie Gore. So there's definitely going to be teams out there that we're not expecting right now that are still in on starting pitching, even teams that might not even be able to, but teams that might not even compete in 2026 that you wouldn't think would want to go out and make a move that'd be a big difference maker for 2026 if you have the right roster around it. So you have to keep an eye out on those teams as well. So not just the Orioles, Yankees, the Giants, the D-backs, there are other teams as well. And with fewer and fewer guys available, we'll see if that's going to drive the price up at all. But I know we've been talking a lot about Framber Valdez here on this channel and just the possibility of the Orioles going in after him and just that contract that it could demand. And if you look at Zach Gallen, and I've talked about him quite a bit on this channel as well, what kind of contract he is going to demand, and it's going to be a lot less than what you would have to give for Valdez. And a lot of people point out the season that Gallen had last year. He did have a strong finish, but not a great start at all. But if you look at the contract right now that Zach Gallen is projected to get, I've seen it go from 2 to 4 years, and on the bigger end contract-wise, money-wise, I should say, 4 years to about $80 million. And I've also seen close to what Ranger got, 5 years, $130 million. And if the rumors are true about what the Orioles were looking at with Ranger Suarez, then it could be a shorter deal. That what they're looking for with Zach Gallen. If he's willing to take that between 2 to 4 years, I think years-wise, if you don't give him an opt-out after year number one, and then money-wise, I think both of those things would benefit the Orioles. Not so much on the money side, just because the Orioles did say they have two big splashes. They made one with Pete Alonso, so we're still waiting for that second one. So honestly, in this instance, you could just put the money aside. If you're looking at the years, in my opinion, if you go and get a Gallen, even if you do get a Valdez, don't give him an opt-out after year 1 or 2. You know, make sure if you are building this team for 2026 to win now, but you're also having these pieces for the future as well, and you don't want a lot of one-and-dones, especially when it comes to the veteran talent, get some sort of contract that at least gives you around 3 years of that star there with the team, especially when it comes to starting pitching, because that is the forefront of most teams. You need good starting pitching, and the Orioles have seen that go downhill really, really fast, and they've been trying this offseason to rebuild it. They've done a good job, but they need that one more piece right there at the front end. So with either a Gallen or a Valdez, in my opinion, yes, Valdez's money is going to be a lot more than what Gallen is going to get, but it's all about the years and how you're able to structure that contract, making sure they're not able to leave after year number 1 and possibly after year number 2. So those are the rumors still floating around. There are quite a few teams that are being thrown out there that are linked to both of these guys, more so with Valdez because he is the biggest of the two remaining out there. But keep your eyes on Gallen. He is still going to be high quality for a lot of these teams, including the Orioles that are being, again, linked to him along with Valdez. But more rumors are popping out and popping up about both of those guys. So hopefully in the next couple of days, something will happen, and hopefully that something is the Orioles make a move on one of those two guys. But continue to keep an eye out on that. One of those two guys, I'm hopeful the Orioles will go ahead and snag, and we'll keep you up to date on all the rumors and stories that continue to come out about both of those guys. And throughout the rest of this offseason, as we slowly but surely get ready for spring training, again, it's already less than a month away. I want to look at some of the players from last season's team that, on the younger sense too, that they're still growing, they're still learning. They could have had a down year last year, and I just want to see what their 2026, what we expect from them coming up in 2026. And the guy I want to focus on in this episode is Jackson Holliday. I know at the very beginning of this channel, I know I talked about just kind of what the lineup, I should say, the lineup is going to look like in 2026, who you're going to have in each position. And I mentioned Jackson Holliday at second base, and I've had a few people ask me, why are we so dead set on Holliday there at second? And it's because they've invested a lot of time and effort into him. And yes, this guy came in to the big leagues. He was only 20 years old. He had all the pressure in the world put on him, and he learned second base. He was primarily a shortstop, but he learned second base, and he got thrown into the big leagues, in my opinion, a little too quick. But again, everybody was ready for him to come up because he was doing so well in the minors at so young. But he comes up to the Orioles big league squad at 20 years old, and he struggled. He finished that year batting 189. He did have 36 total hits that year with 5 home runs, and there was a lot of what ifs. I think he only played in a total of 60 games, so not the biggest stretch of play there in his first big year, not the biggest sample size. But there was, for me, I was like, well, 2025 being last year, it's going to be his first full year in the big leagues, and I'm expecting him to grow. I'm not expecting him to be the best player in the league, but it's his first full season. He still has all of that pressure there on him, and I thought he had a pretty good first full year in the big leagues, age 21. He ended up hitting, I believe it was a little over 240. Yeah, he hit 242. He ended up hitting 17 home runs, which was tied in the team lead in that category. He ended up playing 149 total games, hitting in a 586 at-bats. So he had a much bigger sample size. He got his first full season in the big leagues under him. And you also saw his defense improve. His defense wasn't the greatest to start. It wasn't the greatest in 2024. But slowly or surely as the season went on, in my opinion, you did start to see his defense start to pick up. He did better on double plays, and he did better at those dynamic plays as well, making better plays when he was going for dives. And even when it came to routine balls, I know when he first started, he would bobble so many of those. But he started to look a lot more comfortable on the defensive side out there at second base. And I think with 2026 coming up, he'll be age 22, his second full year in the big leagues. And you have this big-time veteran in Pete Alonso that you're going to be throwing the baseball to. And then you also have your buds back there in the infield along with Gunnar at short and Jordan Westberg at third base. The camaraderie that this team has. And I think that is going to get back to where you kind of saw it in 2023 and 2024. I just didn't feel it in 2025, and then Hyde got let go, and it was just different. It just didn't feel the same that it had been over the last couple of seasons when they were really competing and going to the playoffs. And I think with this coaching staff and with these new players coming in, the players that were already there, including a Jackson Holliday, I think it's really going to rejuvenate them, and you're going to see a really, really good 2026 for Jackson Holliday. I expect his numbers to, honestly, in my opinion, to improve all over the board, and I expect his defense to continue to improve at second base. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments about Jackson Holliday and what you expect for him in 2026. I really think he is going to continue to grow into a really good second baseman, both offensively and defensively. But again, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And this story broke, I believe it was last week, maybe a little bit longer than that. And I hadn't got into it yet, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the Orioles and their TV deal being on MASN and kind of what's going on with that. The Washington Nationals, they officially announced that after 21 years, they are leaving MASN, and they're going with the MLB, and they're going to have their games broadcast on different platforms and in different streams. But what that does for the Nationals is it gives them a lot more room and a lot more opportunity for better profit for themselves and in a lot of different areas. And they didn't have that when they were with MASN. There was so much happening. It felt like every single year with Washington. with the Washington Nationals when it came to the MASN Network. MASN Network is owned by the Baltimore Orioles, and when the Nationals were there, they got there in 2005. It was 77% to Baltimore, 23% to Washington. So they wanted to, of course, get a better deal, and I understand it. But now that the Nationals were officially able to announce and were able to leave, they can go on and do their own thing on different networks, and they don't have to continue this fight over money, revenue, and licensing, and just all the things that in their mind they weren't able to do when they were with MASN. So MASN is now 100% back to the Baltimore Orioles, and we will see how long the network is going to operate, and that's kind of the reason why I bring this up. The Orioles and MASN announced that they're going to broadcast 20 spring training games. They've never broadcasted that many spring training games before, and I think that's just a big part of it. It's just the Orioles now, Nationals are gone, so they're trying to get as much coverage in as they possibly can, trying to get as many eyes as possible. But as much as you see out there, MASN is just not turning a profit, and so it's going to be really interesting to see how 2026 goes. And even with Rubenstein there, it's just, from everything we're seeing, MASN is slowly but surely going down, and with the Nationals leaving, it's just Baltimore there. So we'll get more coverage of the Orioles this year in spring training, which is going to be really cool to see, and you'll get more radio broadcasts as well. But again, the Nationals, they long disputed their rights and the revenue. They're officially gone, ended a 21-year relationship. It's going to be interesting to see how the Nationals go about that with the MLB and what type of streams they do throughout the year. But the Orioles 100% have MASN. We'll get 20 spring training games this year, and that's going to be something to keep an eye on going forward, though, of what is going to happen with MASN. There's a lot of talk about it, but nothing official, so we'll continue to keep an eye on it. But for this year, it is all Baltimore. They'll have 20 spring training games, and we'll see as we go what is said about the MASN Network. And I want to go ahead and get into your guys' comments from this past episode. Thank you so much again to everyone who continues to comment on each and every one of these episodes. It truly means a lot. Please continue to do so. And as always, if I mispronounce any of these names, I do apologize. I want to start off with this one from Meaty Ogre Baseball. Hey, from the UK, got into the Orioles last year. Your videos are helping me get into the zone for the next season. Thank you so much for tuning in all the way in the UK. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you continue to do so. Thank you so much for the support. This one from Dave Mathor. Not sure who the setup guy will be out of the bullpen. Jeremiah Jackson impressed me last month of 2025. His defense is great, and he showed some power with a few dingers. Yeah, and I said this too. I believe that Jackson's going to have a big part in 2026 with Baltimore. We'll see how he's used in the utility sense, because we've talked about that too. Who can be the next utility guy with Wilson just being claimed from Philadelphia? We'll see what happens with him. But I believe Jackson's going to have a big part. He played pretty well in 2025, and I think he's going to have a big part in 2026. This one from Mary Francis Ann. Hi, Sean. Love the content you put out. Here is hoping we sign Valdez. Marianne, thank you so much again for the kind words. And yes, Valdez, again, one of those two guys we continue to look at in the starting pitching and free agency, and we will see what the Orioles do hopefully in the next couple of days with that. This one from Scott Warnick. Orioles are always interested in assigning top free agents. The thing is that Elias is unwilling to pull the trigger on a trade. What's he afraid of? The player comes up lame like Glenn Davis or Chris Davis. Pull the trigger, Elias, and get us Valdez. And we're seeing a lot of that, and I understand. He's out there. It's going to cost a good bit of money. But from everything we see, the Orioles have it. And he's the guy you put at the front end of the rotation. He solves a lot of problems. I know what a lot of people say about his off-the-field stuff, even his locker room stuff. So even with that, if it's not Valdez, I still think Gallen is a really, really good option. And I think that Elias should pull the trigger on one of them. This one from Dan Odell. I thought Alonso was an all-in move. However, he has been the only all-in move made. Yes, some nice pieces added, but those won't make the O's contenders in the AL East. You need pitching and more pitching. Have to get that front end starter. I absolutely agree. And I know some people are getting, and I understand it, I know some people are getting annoyed these last few episodes, me starting off talking about the starting pitching, but that is the thing that the Orioles continue to need and continue to be linked to and rumored in of who's still remaining out there. And I think that's something that we still need to continue to talk about. I'm just hopeful that we land one of those guys. This one from LJS. I think Heston has taken a beating in the confidence department. I'm rooting for him to come back and be a part of the big league team. Also from LJS. Also, sign Danny Coulomb. Starting with Heston, absolutely, I agree with that. Heston is one of those guys that came up and a lot of potential and a lot expected of him. And he's shown flashes of it, sparks of it. And he definitely has it, but I absolutely agree with you. I think his confidence is really, really taking a hit. And 2025 didn't help a lot of these guys last year, either with dealing with injuries and not playing well when they were somewhat healthy. So, with Heston being out the whole entire second half of 2025, that definitely didn't help. So I'm very excited to hear that he is going to be ready for spring, and I'm excited to see what he does in spring. And about signing Danny Coulomb, I've talked about that a few times on this channel. I would be cool with that. Absolutely. I think Danny would be a great addition bringing him back. This one from Dean Citroni. Why we don't draft heavily in pitching is beyond me. There are 3 spots inside of that one position: starter, long relief, and closer. If we fail to develop young arms in the minors and have to acquire them, our rich new owner won't be rich much longer. And I understand that, and that's something that felt like it was the case for a while. You saw a lot of these guys come up, a lot of these bats, catchers, and Rutschman, and then your other positions, Cowser, Westberg, Holliday, Henderson, Kerstad, Beavers, name them all. And then the pitching that has come up has not been the greatest. Grayson Rodriguez was the one, but the one that really made you go, oh, man, look at this guy they brought up. He's doing great. And then the injuries just have derailed him so much that after looking at things, it made sense of why the Orioles decided to move on and add that big power bat in the outfield that they needed. But then you look at a guy like a Cade Povich and some other guys that they continue to bring up, and they're just not there yet. And that goes also into coaching. Are these guys have so much potential, but are these guys, what's happening in the minor leagues? Are they being coached to a point of to the best of their abilities? That also comes into play as well. We'll see what is going to happen with this brand new coaching staff that the Orioles have now, and I'm excited to see that. And I do believe that we do have a good amount of players when it comes to pitching prospects in the farm system. And a lot of that was, I know they weren't homegrown guys that the Orioles drafted. Some are, but some of these guys were brought in via the trade deadline last year. The Orioles really focused on kind of reloading their farm system with pitchers, with arms, because they needed it. And if you kind of look where the Orioles stand right now when it comes to their farm system, their ranks, numbers 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 are all pitching arms. So, yes, you don't have a pitching arm that's ranked in the top 5 there, but 6 through 13, there's only one that's not a pitcher. So the Orioles are slowly but surely getting there. You got Esteban Meja. You got Boston Bateman's another one. I know these guys are on the lower end, but Trey Gibson, I'm really excited to see what happens with him here in the very near future. And now Braxton Bragg is another one. So the Orioles have guys there, and it's just about the development part now, is how soon are they going to get there? How soon are we going to see a Trey Gibson? But the Orioles, in my opinion, they do have a better farm system with pitching than they have in the last couple of years, so I'm excited to see that continue to grow and develop. Last one here. This one is going to be from Coach Hall. Kittredge, setup guy, or Wells, and I'm okay with either one of those, getting Andrew Kittredge back via trade from the Cubs. Really, to start this offseason, I like that move. I thought getting a familiar face back. I mean, he's a good pitcher, so he could be someone that they try there in that setup role. And maybe Tyler Wells, but at this point, I think for Tyler Wells, he can be more of a long reliever, and he's still going to be a guy. I really like his stuff, and I still think he can be a spot starter or injury starter as well. So I probably wouldn't put Tyler Wells in a setup spot, more Kittredge, and then you're probably going to have Tyler Wells there. That's going to be more of a long reliever, an arm that you trust for a longer period of time. But guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode here on this Sunday. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your Sunday with me here on the channel. And again, happy 11th birthday to my daughter, Emma. And if you were a fan of today's episode, as always, please give that like button a big high five. And if you are a fan of this content, please subscribe. Get yourself daily notifications for all of these daily video drops covering all things the Baltimore Orioles. I will see you guys on the next episode. This is Orioles Today. I am Sean Ferguson, and let's go O's.